everybody that was at Upbit, there was a big news story saying Upbit was being investigated for fraudulent activity, for cooking their books, meaning they didn't have the coins that they said they had. And so Upbit, if you guys don't know what Upbit is a if you go here, you can actually look at trade volume by exchange. Upbit is the third most volume exchange in the world, and it's paired with the Korean won. And Korea is they're crazy for their crypto. But essentially, they were being accused of fraud. Some investigators went in. Here's the thing, though. I've got a couple sources in South Korea, and they said that there wasn't any wrongdoing leveraged at Upbit. They just went in, seized some records, looked at their computers, and that's about all we know right now. So, mass panic. A lot of people on Upbit, they started mass panic selling yesterday into the Korean won. Their time zone's a little bit different than our time zone. Their time zone is it's like 10:30 right now, their time, PM. And so we're sleeping while Asia's kind of going crazy. So essentially, this is from Cointelegraph. This is not where the news story kind of moved out. South Korea has been pretty hardcore on their stance on cryptocurrency because it's not just like a normal thing in South Korea. It's an obsession. It's like how Pokemon were here. It's the Beatles in the 60s, you know. Cryptocurrency is a mania in South Korea, and so the government has tried its best to kind of assuage or kind of, you know, put the kibosh on some of the cryptocurrency trading with a lot of these younger individuals, especially teenagers. So they've detained at least executives from 4 or 5 different smaller exchanges. They went in on CoinNest's co-founder for embezzlement. So this is having a huge effect on the market. This is known as a black swan event. A black swan event is something that, if it occurs, has catastrophic effects that are not predictable through normal technical or even fundamental analysis. It's kind of like if Bitfinex went down. If Bitfinex went down, or USDT went down, we'd see the same kind of ripple effect throughout the markets, like we did a couple months ago when there were talks of Bitfinex and Tether being together, or having issues together. So the bloodbath is basically caused by just, the South Korean largest cryptocurrency exchange being investigated by police. My sources say that there's no criminal investigation being leveraged against them. They just had their records seized, and that's about it. So let's take a look at where the markets are at and kind of, what we can buy on the dips. Can you guys see this all right? Thanks for joining me, by the way. Coffee and crypto. I think I might make this a regular thing. I don't like to do emergency broadcasts, but today was kind of an emergency broadcast. Yeah, I was going to play Going Down with This Ship. I forgot the name of the song, though. All right, so Bitcoin... I haven't been charting Bitcoin too closely lately because I've just been so focused on alts. But look at this RSI, guys. This RSI on the hourly is like maxed to the maxed. It's only been there a few times. The last time it was there was, let's see. Last time the RSI was there was, 6,400. Same spot. Last time the RSI was there was 6,000. So, on the hourly, we're looking pretty good for a nice little bounce. We got a little support here at the 8,500 level. So we got a little support here. Kind of historically, this was resistance back here. If we look at the daily, we can check the RSI. RSI is not maxed. We got a little trend line forming here, so it's not starting to uptick back. Man, some shorts made some good money though yesterday, didn't they? So our next support, 8,500 was kind of the lower end of the support, but our next support is right around this 8,200 level, where it found support last time. And it was a pretty hard resistance, but it's also the 382 fib from the swing high to the swing low. If we throw some fibs on there, lots of leverage getting crushed. $110 million leveraged short got smashed the other day, the biggest in Bitcoin history. And now all the longs are getting smashed. They're coming after that money, guys. If you don't follow this account, it's a pretty fun account just to kind of follow on Twitter. It's called Wrecked, BitMEX Wrecked. And it basically just shows, I'll kind of put this over here, but it basically just shows all of the different longs and shorts that get wrecked every day. And it's kind of this automated bot that does that. It's pretty interesting. I like to see it just to kind of see, what's getting leveraged out of there. But a lot of shorts and a lot of longs are getting leveraged out. There was that one 9 million liquidated long 2 hours ago at 8,700. Pretty cool account to follow though, just to kind of stay on top of whether the longs are getting short or liquidated, whether the shorts are getting liquidated. So Bitcoin right now, I'm guessing we'll find some support at 8,200. The news I think will be short-lived. There's got to be some sort of let me get my chat back up. There's got to be some sort of a clarification out of South Korea. It has been shown that some of the people in the South Korean government do hold cryptocurrency, and I wouldn't put it past some government officials. Even some of these stories. You saw what happened with the Wall Street Journal. That they said that there was an SEC hearing. We saw a big Ethereum was getting bullish, and we saw this big liquidation on Ethereum after there was supposedly a security hearing. We figured it out the day before that it wasn't really a security hearing, but so we've got a few places that we can buy at. So we've got 8,200. If the 8,200 level breaks, there's not a lot of support in here. A little bit at 7,300, a little bit at 6,800. There's a confluence of this 147 fib. Most people don't use the 147 fib. I've found that it shows up a lot. So you can even see right here that it found a lot of support at the 147. 147 is just, if you use the Fibonacci sequences, all these are different Fibonacci sequences. 147 is essentially 236 divided by 2. But it's also the first integer divided by the fifth integer in the Fibonacci sequence. If you don't know what that is, Google it. And then the 0.055 is the first integer divided by the sixth integer. Those are kind of my own Fibonacci sequences. You can feel free to add them to yours. If you add, the way to add those is you just go to Format, and then you can create your own custom ones over here. So, I created the 147. The 833s shows up quite a bit. I don't usually have that on, but, you can change it to orange, you can change it to black, whatever. However you want to do that. But I find the 147 shows up quite a bit along with the 236, the 786, and the 618. 0.5 is kind of useless, but you could see this one, it found some decent support and resistance there. So some buy orders, 8,200 I think will probably be the low on this one today. What does Fib mean? Fib stands for Fibonacci. Fibonacci was an Italian economist, and he found these numbers called the Fibonacci sequence. And the Fibonacci sequence is just it shows up everywhere, but it's got this. You can study the mathematics of it, but it shows up everywhere in all kinds of different ratios. It's called the golden ratio. It shows up in nature. Leonardo da Vinci was a big fan of Fibonacci, and he found out the Fibonacci sequence for the face, and that's why his the Mona Lisa is considered the most the best painting in the world, was because he used these Fibonacci sequences with the eyes and the nose and the lips and everything. But it's a spiral pattern, and it shows up a lot in trading as psychological support and resistances. And there's a lot of different ways you can use Fibonacci sequences. You can use it from highs to lows and find important supports and resistances there. You can use it on swing highs, swing lows. You can use it on local highs, local lows. So if we drew it from here to here, if we drew it from here to here, we could see if there's anything that shows up in here, and we could see not really. So you gotta have to play around with it, see what works, see what doesn't work. But so for Bitcoin, the most important thing I'm seeing is little bit of support here on this blue line. If you come back here historically on the 4 hour, we can see it's forming another candle. It's got a little bit of a pullback, but the pullbacks have been super weak. We're not seeing much of a dead cat bounce. You check Twitter and you look just Upbit. This is a pretty good source of information. If you find people he kind of runs CNBC Trader. The selling is coming from people taking their funds out of Upbit as they are concerned. Yeah, that's what we already said. They will go to other exchanges and buy there. Expect a huge bounce. Maybe. Joseph Young, if you don't follow this guy, for some reason I'm not following him on this account. So if you don't follow this guy's one of the best journalists out there. He was the one that released this story first, I believe. Everyone's kind of calling him FUD. Let's see if there's anything else on here. Just a bunch of other people parroting kind of the same headline. I did contact some of my sources in Korea, and they're trying to corroborate it for me. They're not on there yet. So anyway, let's talk about. We're going to go through a few charts here. Let's look at the majors first. This is U.S. dollar. It had this nice bounce back yesterday. I was thinking about playing this bounce right here. That's a nice little 18% dead cat, but it didn't sustain at all. Sub 400, which is mind blowing. I mean, if you guys don't remember, Dash was like, in the 1500s. It was getting up there. So Dash historically, we've got. We'll chart them in U.S. dollar first, and then we'll look at everything else. I mean, this was a pretty heavy resistance before. $400 was, kind of right through here. So we might see that little level hold. Look at that. Resistance, 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 and then it kind of busted through. Nice support here. So we might see the 389 on Dash hold. Let's see what kind of fibs we got here. I like to run a fib on kind of like a market cycle. So like from this recent uptrend here, and that's not showing anything. That's not showing anything. Let's go down to here. Nope, that's not showing anything. So that's not helpful. Let's go all the way down, see if there's anything down here. On this market cycle. A little bit. Yeah, it looks like we're right on the 236. That's got a little bit of a confluence. So could be a good time to buy is 375, and that kind of matches up with the support that I was talking about here historically. You can see it kind of levels up right there. So 375 might be a good buy on Dash. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum was having a pretty decent run with which exchange am I on? Why am I on 12 hour? That's random. All right, so let's take a look here. So it definitely broke that trend line, the daily trend. The daily trend lines were like money for the past like month or so. You could buy on that trend line, make an extra like 20-30%. Let's see. Let's get rid of all these lines. Get to the ones that matter. All right. So let's draw some fibs. Local high to local low. Swing high to swing low. So this kind of confluences right here. 652. That's pretty decent. I would say a better buy would probably be 597. But if we go back, if we're going to retrace all the way, that's going to get a little intense. We formed this double bottom before at like 362. Usually we don't reverse in the middle of a bull cycle. We had 127% return. So we might give 50% of it back. So if we give 50 to 61% back, which is kind of that golden retracement, that'll put us right at 541. That's probably a good buy-in back for Ethereum. It depends. I'd have to look at like long-term trend lines, try and find some of those. I'm gonna try and get through as many of these charts as possible. All this analysis, no use against FUD. Well, it depends on the level of FUD. If Upbit closes, that's a level of FUD that's known as a black swan. I released a report on one of my videos that basically said regulation is coming. Do you guys remember that video? Hold on. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. All right. Yeah. So if you guys remember my video, well, damn it. Hold on. I might have saved over it. Anyway, I said strategy 1 was basically move all we just made 200% on a lot of our coins. Move it all to fiat. Option 2, move to Bitcoin. Option 3, buy into Ethereum. Obviously, that was the highest risk one, and that's not a good strategy at this point. So black swans, yeah, you can't really predict with technical analysis, but what we can try and find are some good reversal zones. Man, Monero has done nothing. It's been getting crushed. If we look, I don't like that chart. If we look here, I'm trying to zoom in so you guys can see this. I'm gonna pop out the chain. No, I'll just leave it there. All right, so if we look at Monero, it broke. It never got really above the 500 level, and it really has been in this kind of downtrend, and it hasn't really gotten any sort of bullish momentum. It's forming a pretty massive, nice little triangle here, though. This could be pretty nice once it explodes. We've got little ABCD pattern forming on us. So depending on where it goes from here, this thing could either bottom out, but Monero is a strong project. This thing might be gearing up here. It's been consolidating since December and hasn't really shined like the rest of the altcoins. So this might be one to watch as a long-term hold. Some people are predicting that this thing could run to 1,000 based on fundamental analysis, and it's one of the best privacy coins out there. So make sure you watch out for Monero. We've got a pretty clean pattern forming here. And so if it breaks down from here, I'd probably get out of the trade and I'd wait. You could set an alert, which I'm going to do right now. You can add alerts in TradingView on these trend lines. And I'll just say crossing up. So once it starts crossing up there, it looks like it might be 240, 250. That might be a pretty solid buy. All right, let's take a look here. Bitcoin Cash. The hard fork was coming up in 4 days. That's why we saw this massive run up. I think of almost like 200%. Yeah, 200. We saw a run up of about 200% right now from its recent high. We're down about 29%. There was some pretty strong support in through here, kind of like right here. A lot of buying pressure. So we might see it rebound there again. Let me make these fibs black for you guys. Do you want me to change the background at all? Can you guys see this okay? What's the best privacy coin? Verge? Verge doesn't really have a lot of... It's built on Tor, but they market themselves as a privacy coin, and I mean, according to like some of my smartest dev friends, they're not that great of a privacy coin. Let's take a look at Neo. Neo's been holding this support line pretty damn well. So I'd say a nice little buy would be 57 on kind of a bounce play. We had this crazy wick here down to 380. What the hell? $3.89 back in November. That's pretty gnarly. I prefer different colors for the fib lines. Yeah, I can do that. If you want me to, do you guys want me to turn it white? Yeah, Apollo's a pretty cool one. All right, let's take a look. Let's just do white. There we go. Whew, that's bright. All right. Auto scale. So we had this little dip before below this trend line, but did it just change my chart by changing the color? Let's reload this real quick. All right. Let's take a look at Ripple. Ripple was forming this nice little wedge that I thought was going to be more bullish just because of the news that they had come out. So we might be retracing back down to these swing lows at 46%. Ripple doesn't hold its value super well. Let's take a look here. Yeah. So we're still in this bearish downtrend if we look at this line right here. I'll change this color up. All right, let me zoom in here. Oh, we're not logarithmic, that's why. Okay. All right, so Ripple is currently just dumping with the rest of the market. Let's draw a little fib here. Oh, look at this line, man. This is how well Fibonacci works, though. When we zoom in, it bounced at the 382. So 61% little bounce there, and it's starting to pull back already. Nice little support back here. So this probably was a good place to buy some Ripple. Just, based on the panic selling. Omisego broke out of its long-term downtrend, and it looked like it was going to break out with some force. You can see that it came right back down, tested this. So when it breaks out of trend lines, those trend lines that were previously resistance, they then become support. I'll answer that question in a second, Johnny B. So when something is a long-term resistance and it breaks through, that resistance then becomes support. And you can see that here. It's held this trend line really well. I drew this trend line weeks ago, and it's held up pretty damn well. And you can see it was filling out this pennant. I was hoping it was going to break above, or this symmetrical triangle. I was hoping it was going to break above. Instead, it broke below. But right now, it's again found support on this downtrend. So that looks... if that holds, that's pretty good. It could follow it down, but hopefully we see a nice bounce there. Ethereum Classic, this price action's been pretty garbage on Ethereum Classic. It doesn't hold its value at all. We rode it up to like $22 and we got out, made 40% or something like that. I see a little trend line here. You can see that it kind of did the same thing as Neo. It kind of just broke that trend line a little bit. That's probably the more accurate one. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. So that's probably going to hold. But if it breaks that, I'd probably get out of the trade. Stellar Lumen. This is one of my favorite trades. They've just got so much bullish momentum with their FairX exchange coming out. One of the big guys on IBM stepped down. If you're not familiar with that, got a little bit of support here, so we're seeing a little bit of pullback, but it's a little too early on a lot of these trades. I'm not worried about missing a 10% move. I'd rather miss a 10% move than catch another 20-30% fall, which is why I keep my stop losses pretty tight, especially in the market lately. Cardano, this one we actually bought at like 1,700 Satoshis. I think we bought on this wick right here. So we're doing pretty well on Cardano long term. Our short term, we hit a few targets. Yeah, I mean, we hit 200% return on our Cardano long term. Still up about 100%. I'm not exiting my long term. I'll probably add to it when it hits down here. They just announced some big news with South Korea as well. Partnerships. Good buy zone would probably be the 19 cents or 22 cents. If you want to cost average your entries here, 25% here, 25% here. IOTA, they had a really great run. IOTA was pretty interesting. Yeah, they had a 200% run as well, from the low back in early April. Now, the other thing to be aware of, guys, is consensus. Let's see. If you guys don't know what consensus is hold on. I'm trying to find, there was a really cool Twitter post earlier on the markets after the Consensus conference. Consensus, if you guys aren't aware, is May 14th to the 16th, and it is one of the largest cryptocurrency conferences in the world. And it's usually a really big reason why the markets run. I'm just going to read some of this chat here. Okay, so anyway, so usually with the Consensus conference, we see a massive bull run within the month or two after the conference ends. So EOS ran on a bunch of news, but they've been doing a ton of airdrops. It had this nice trend line that it was following really well, and then it kind of went sideways and started consolidating. And then it started breaking down. It looks like it bounced on the 786. We'll see if that holds. It's a little bit oversold right now. Let me bring up the RSI. So RSI is turning down. It's been a little supportive back here. Lots of sell volume. Volume itself kind of dropped off here. Sentiment was turning negative on social media as well. Let's see, a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern was forming. Let's look at the 4 hour. Yeah, look at these Bollinger Bands. These Bollinger Bands got squeezed really tight. So typically when they squeeze really tight like that, there's usually going to be a price move up or a price move down, but it doesn't like to stay consolidated and restricted like that. So we saw this price move down on EOS. I probably wouldn't get into EOS yet. There's nothing on that chart that shows me it's going to get supported. Let's look at Binance. Organize it here. S&M has been on an absolute tear lately. Look at these fibs. I ran these fibs a while ago. And if we zoom in, look how perfect that 786 rejection looks. So it got rejected at the 786, and it looks like it's tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. A little bit of indecision. Usually when you get like a spinning top like that with a bunch of wicks coming down, that's usually not a good sign. But when the market's bearish like this and the market's correcting, people are looking for something to get their money into as kind of a safe haven. I put up a chart last night. I think I wasn't in. I was in linear scale. Put up a chart last night of ICX saying I really liked it at this point right here. It kind of bounced off this. It was printing. It looked like it was printing either a bull flag right here, but it came down, hit this point right here, and rebounded really nice. But then the news came out and it dumped. But this morning, Icon actually. Oops, let me move this down so you guys can see that. Icon actually said that they had a partnership with Samsung, which is pretty badass. Let me find that on Twitter. All right, yeah. Where's that? Samsung. Hello, Icon World. Yeah. Through Loop Chain, one of their partners, Chain ID, developed Loop Chain to be used in Samsung Pass service, which is beautiful. Icon, Icon is one of my favorite projects. So if we can buy it on the dip, that's awesome. It's not really dipping too much. This Samsung announcement was pretty massive. There's a really cool account called I'll have to find it again, but they had this really cool infographic. I think it was called like research. I'll have to look for it again. Spec Rationality. Here it is. So Spec Rationality had this really cool infographic on all of the partnerships and relationships. And I'll retweet this if you guys aren't following me on Twitter. But they had this really cool chart that they build in Lucid Chart on all of the different relationships that Icon has. Let me just go over this real quick. Goodness gracious. Let's see if I can zoom out. Here we go. Okay, cool. So Icon's in the middle here. So they've got the blockchain interoperability alliance with WanChain and Aeon. Hashed is one of the coolest. They're based out of South Korea, but they're a fund that went from like 300,000 to like, I don't know, 750 million or something like that with their investments, and they've invested in a ton of companies. But so these are their investing partners. These are their decentralized applications. Basically, all of the different ones that are going to be built on Icon. These are the Da Vinci partners. So just a pretty cool map. I'll retweet this so you guys can get access to that. But Icon's doing some big stuff. One of my favorite projects. South Korea is thinking about letting up on ICOs. So pretty bullish, and they're on that trend line. So not a bad buy, and they're up 8% on the day. Pivx is a pretty cool company. They're forming this massive consolidation on the 4-hour and on the daily. It broke down, had this huge wick action, which you saw this with a few different charts, but just in this one wick alone, check this out. We've got over 25% volatility on that one candle, which is just absolutely crazy. Let's take a look at the losers on the day. Fuel, I gave this chart out yesterday. It dumped right down to my trend line. If you go on the body of this lower part here, Fuel is right on that trend line, and it's kind of at the confluence of the 236 support. So Fuel is a good buy in my opinion. I don't see it retracing too much lower. It's got some nice support down here. Formed this little bit of a double bottom, a little bit of a nice action here. That's like getting way oversold. If we look at the hourly on any of these charts, they were way oversold. Look at that little V right there. Anything below 20 is typically a decent buy. You can make a nice little rebound on. Are you guys following this all right? Am I going too fast? All right, let's take a look at. I usually like the dailies. The dailies are a lot easier to read. One thing on TradingView, if it's a little confusing, if you just click auto, it'll auto calibrate your chart. You can look at logarithmic scale or linear scale. All right, let's take a look here. I got in QSP on the 236 support line. This red line was kind of my stop loss. Did pretty well. QuantStamp is an interesting project. A little 90% gain. Hey Gail, how you doing? Okay, so it's finding some support on the lower end of this Bollinger Band. Historically, let's take a look at this trend, see if there's anything here. What the hell? Zoom in a little bit. Close out this. Okay. So let's see trend line. Lines up pretty well. Never mind, hold on. So we're not quite there yet. It is finding some support on the lower end of that Bollinger Band. Might have a little bit more ways to fall, but QSP is not a bad one to enter. App C, it's right on that 236 support. Is it easier to see black or white? Just put in the chart what you'd rather see. This is black. Is that easier for you guys? I'm gonna wait. Guys, I'm going through a bunch of coins. I'm not gonna answer like specific coins right now. I'll do a little bit of a Q&A. You like black? All right, we'll stay with black. A little bit easier to see. Black, white. Black, black, white. Better to see the lines. White, black. Black is easier. All right, well, I'll switch back and forth. It looks like we're kind of 50-50 here. All right, App C, it's on that 236, but it looks like it's kind of dipping below. I don't like that. Cloak's kind of a mystery. This is just a weird-ass coin. We'd have to go to Bittrex to look at it. TNB broke the trend line. I wouldn't get into it. DLT, that looks pretty good. Had this kind of saucer formation, broke up pretty hard. There was a ton of volume right here. Bounced perfect on my 147 line here. Black, white, black, white, black, white. Literally, you guys are going back and forth. Can't see black on the phone. All right, well, we'll go white then. You guys are going back and forth. Whew. Boy, that's bright. All right. Okay. Format. We'll just make the lines black. For all you guys on your phone. All right. Now it's not loading up. Got to reload it. Yeah, that's all right, man. It'll be on YouTube for you there. All right. Massive red candle on DLT. Bounced off my 147. Like I said, if you're not using the 147, I'd get on the 147. The 147 it shows up everywhere. All these lines, as you can see, I didn't draw these. These have been on here for weeks. I just use them, just, you know, kind of helpful. It's fun to go back and look at charts. Steam was an interesting one. It looked like it was having this nice little breakout, but it broke down really hard, and it's a pretty cool project. I wouldn't touch it yet. Let's see, how much does it retrace? Might retrace all the way back down, which kind of sucks, but well, that's not true. Let's go down just a little bit more. Zoom in for you guys. All right, so this is on the linear price scale. You can see just after we drew that, it rebounded really well in the 382. You can see it formed really solid support before. It dumped down to here. Look at this price action on Steam, man. Look at that. 55% action on one single daily candle. That's pretty crazy. I'm not moving to Tether yet. I'm pretty bullish on consensus. Fun is look at these candles. Usually they have really strong rebounds after these big red candles historically. We entered at 500. We sold at 650. That was our target. 650 hit like perfectly. And it looks like it's just following this trend line. If we use the let me see here. My thing's acting kind of funny here. I mean, either way, this is with the bodies. Kind of, you want to use the lower corners on the bodies. Even with the bodies, we found a nice little support. Fun's not a bad one to get into. Here, I'll write these down. Notepad. Fun, fuel. I'll just Bitcoin. Oh man, all those traders. Eeh, that's bad. A lot of people went in at like 170s. A lot of people went at 110. I just couldn't bring myself to do any sort of a signal. TNT was looking pretty good. It looked like it was finding support. See these wicks? That's a lot of buying support. Then it just kind of dumped to the 236. I'd say TNT is a pretty good buy here. I'll probably take some small positions in a lot of these. That's breaking down from the 382 on loop ring. Couldn't justify that. GTO I thought was a great buy last night, but that seems to have broken through as well. Might not see that rebound. We might see that come down, touch back down on the 236. The 236 is very strong support. So that I would guess that's where the GTO is going. Monaco, yeah, that's a stop loss triggered last night. Got out of that trade. BAT has if we extend out this trend line right here, this is probably where it'll extend the right. So this is probably where it's gonna bounce at 3,500. Loon, we hit our second target on Loon yesterday. That's just been a nice steady chart. I really like this chart a lot. This chart's just, it's a beautiful chart. I mean, it came down, bounced off the 786. It's holding up well. Kind of extend this guy out. You want to use the bottom right hand corners. Yeah. I mean, it came down, dipped on that trend line and the 786 and then came right back. So could still run. I'm still in the Loon train. I haven't really, I've sold a few of my positions out, just percentages, but all in all, I mean, I'm not like a perfect trader. This is coffee right here, man. Check out my Florida mug. Let's see. XRP bounced off the 382. See, we just, all we really need is we need to figure out, you know, where everything's going to turn around, and then that'll give us a good map on what else is going on. My system's kind of glitching a little bit. Walton coin, I was thinking about entering this trade because the trend line had held up so well since early April. Look at that beautiful trend line, but it's dumping as well. Nice, Palm Beach. You're not too far away from me. I live in Hollywood. All right, let's see. Viberate. We got stopped out on this trade. Took a 8% loss. Took an L on that one. Storm, I would say where I would probably rebuy is at the 147. Anything probably in through here. Oops. Give me a little buy zone here. Anything like right here, I think you'll do pretty well with Storm. Oops. We made a pretty penny on Storm. I know CEO is named Simon Yu. Shout out to Simon. I like Storm. I like the team. Really cool people out there. They're in Seattle. All right, let's take a look at ADEX. ADEX following this. Check this out, guys. Look at this. Man, I love going back to old charts. This long downtrend here. Bounced up, found support. Look at this. It looked like it was going to get rejected again, but crushed it. Moved to an all-time high, and then fell right back down. And check out this trend line. Just bounced off it and bounced off it again. So we'll probably see a nice rebound here. If it drops below, I'd say, you know, watch out. But it got some nice support here. This is not a bad midterm hold at all. I'd highly doubt it retraces to here, but it's crypto. Never know. CDT, not liking this yet. Volume, I mean, you can see these bearish divergences on volume. Volume going down. Whenever price goes up, Verge. But we got Pornhub, guys. We got Pornhub. I said if I was going to get back into Verge, I would buy at the 236 and through here. They've got a lot of partnerships. I mean, they've been announcing shit left and right. Substratum was one of my favorite long-term holds. We made a killing on Sub, like I think 100% on the trade. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think we exited right here at the top here. We missed out on a little percentage move up here, but yeah, I think we made like 80-90% on that trade. EOS, I already covered EOS. Wabi, this is, man, I really like this Wabi trade. I'm cost averaging into this. I'm not too concerned with it with a dip right now. Yeah, I'll look at some of these. Oh, you used to bartend at Los Olas? Nice. Let's see. I really like this Wabi trade. They're announcing masternodes. They've got some really cool announcements coming out. Little decent support there. You see the pullback it had. I think we got, no, actually my stop loss was like at 1. So we're still safe in this trade. Not doing too bad. Maybe like a 10% loss. I can't remember exactly our entry point. I think it was like right on this support line. I like getting in on these 236 supports because they've historically been pretty good. OAX, this is just dumping. I wouldn't look at that chart at all. This has to come down. Poe, I got a really sweet Poe shirt. You guys want to see my Poe shirt? I like Spectre Coin. Spectre Coin's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll go over Zill too. I'll show you my Poe shirt. This is the big reason why you want to go to conferences, is because you get some dope swag. Oh. Show the Poe. Check it out. Ring spun cotton. Got Poet on the back. I like this project. I used to write a lot of poetry when I was younger. Swag YOLO. All right. Oh, also, my wife, she's so sweet. Check this out. She gave me some Hope essential oil this morning. She knows me too well. Young Living essential oil plug Hope. You just take it and you just put it on your shirt. Inhale it. I feel better already. All right. Let's take a look. Okay, so we're on Poe right now. Poe had this nice trend line. I'll ship you some, Jake. I don't get emotional when the market crashes. Man, I've been through so many of these, and every time when I buy the dip, it works out okay. Now, everyone's like, well, we had a dip here, and I bought here. And we had a dip here, and I bought here. And we had a dip here, and I bought... it's called cost average, and then you get to cost average your exits. It's always worked out okay. This is why we don't buy on rallies. Loom is a great project. I've been talking about Loom for a while. Let's look at the 4 hour. Um, I missed the buy entry. I picked the wrong fib. Not really though. I thought it was gonna come back down and touch this 236 one more time. Look at this. It came down and touched it like just for a second, but then it came back down and touched the 382, and then from there, I had some Loom on KuCoin though. I've been going through and doing their crypto zombie course. Loom had a nice little 80% pop. Now it's kind of having this little ABC retracement. ABC. Looks like it's found support on the 1. Look at it, it bounced pretty damn close. It looks like it found support here. But typically the 3 soldiers, that's usually an indication that it's going to continue to move down. Loom's kind of a tricky one. It's printing higher lows, which is not usually a good sign. Looks like we're stuck in a downtrend now. So I probably wouldn't get into this one yet. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah. We'll probably move down a little bit lower. Maybe even kind of square up in through down there. All right. So no on the Loom. TNT, I already talked about this one. It's at a good support. I like that. LRC looks like it found support on the 382. Did I just skip down or something? What the fuck? Sorry for my language. It's a family show. Look at these fibs, man. You just can't make this stuff up. So at the 0.55, Salt is given all its gains back. I've seen so many people on Twitter shilling Salt. I just couldn't pull myself to get into it because every time I thought about buying it, it just kept moving lower and lower and lower and lower. We made a ton on that uptrend, but SNT, I really liked this trade because it'd been holding this quite well. It's breaking down now. A stop loss triggered on that one. CND, this is one of my favorite long-term holds. It looks like it's going to come down and retest this 236. I would say anything in this 236 zone is probably a decent buy. I covered Fanfare Ali. I'll go over Poly in a second. What's this course on KuCoin? All right. We're getting to one, guys. We're making our way through. Blue Zell. This was another chart that I was looking at last night. It's holding this trend line better than a lot of these charts. For some reason, it's not letting me grab this unless I freaking reload the screen. This is so weird. You guys are chatting so quick. All right, so it's holding this trend line really well. It looks like it's forming a nice little circle. If we looked at it probably on the 3-day, we'd see a little bit more of the pattern. Or sorry, not a nice little cup formation. My cup. Nice little cup and handle. Probably not quite there yet. That depends on which cup we're looking at. Blue Zell is a really strong project though. Pretty decent to kind of go in long term. This trend line has been pretty damn good for like the real swing lows. ENJ, this is a good trade. I'm going to add that to my list here. Morning, Hugo. You're probably in the office. Bear market for 2018, nothing positive. Man, if you guys did not make money in April, I don't know what to tell you. Lend looks great here. Holding that trend line really well. The thing is like you can like set a buy order here. Like you can set a buy order. Let me show you how to do this. This isn't like rocket science. You can set a buy order here, like on the trend line, right? And then you can just set a stop limit, you know, give yourself a decent little bit of wiggle room. Look at historically where the stop limits were. So right here. So now you got a little 9% stop right here, below the recent swing lows. So it's got nice support here. Boom. You got a nice little entry with a 9% stop. And you can see it's found, you know, this is pretty decent before it formed that double bottom like the rest of the market, or that Adam and Eve. If you don't know what an Adam and Eve is, look it up. It's got this sharp point and then round. And there were a lot of those that kind of formed. It's got that sharp point and the round. And then the confirmation of an Adam and Eve is when it breaks above. So the Adam and Eve was right on this 236 line. Give you guys a little knowledge here. So you can see this Adam formed right here, and then the Eve formed. So confirmation is when it breaks above. So if you just, you know, buy here on the confirmation on the trend break, you know, nice little 30% gain. And then you just, you know, raise your stop limits. So it's breaking down now. It's on this trend line. So what we'll probably see is the same, and we can come back on a thing, but we'll probably see the same sort of little formation right here, and then a nice little rounded bottom. So kind of like a mini fractal. I sound like Bob Ross. Then it kind of comes down. Nice little rounded bottom, and then we buy on confirmation. It'll probably just keep following that trend line. All right, cool. So let's keep going. So I like Lend. Lend's right on support. All right, let's keep going. This is my favorite trade. I posted it on Twitter. It's like looking at linear scale. It broke down a little bit, but man, they've got some bullish news coming out. I'm gonna cost average into this one. Looks like it's found support on the lower end of the Bollinger Band. Historically, let's throw a fib on the top. Whoa, look at that wick, man. See, that's institutional money right there, most likely. Hunting for liquidity. Hunting for those stop losses. So that's at the 618. Not bad. Let's go body to body. See, drawing fibs is an art. It's not always a science. Yeah. So sometimes if you use the wick below the top wick, that'll give you both a good trend line and also a good fib. So if you look here, drawing a line off of this one is kind of dumb. It doesn't really line up with anything. But if you draw a line on this trend line, this is actually pretty darn helpful. See? If we draw it on the bodies, but yeah, see, this lines up a lot better. So the wick before the taller wick, that's usually pretty helpful in figuring out both Fibonacci's. So if we take this and we move it down to here, let's see if that lines up a little better. So we got the 618 there. Yeah, I mean, this lines up a little bit better. You can see it's kind of like bounces here, bounce there. So that lines up a little bit better, and the trend line lines up a little bit better. So this top one was most likely just, you know, a little bit of FOMO, but this bottom one is more to our speed. All right, let's take a look here now. Yeah, and you can see it found support right on that 382. Bounced right on that 236, so that fib line's a little bit better. So we might see this come back down to the 382. I'm gonna cost average into this guy. Enigma is one of my favorite trades right now, especially with consensus coming up. Aeron has had no momentum, retraced completely back to the 236. I don't like that. Mod got rejected at the 236, got rejected hard. This was our short-term exit, was 3,600, right below that top fib. Then we raised our stop loss up to profit, so we did okay with Mod. QTUM, I really liked this trade. Looks like it's breaking the trend line. Man, QTUM is an interesting token. All the legacy tokens are just not holding value. So I probably won't trade a lot of these legacy tokens anymore, like KMD, Lisk, QTUM, NEO. These coins just are not doing it. But historically, look at this. We've got resistance, and then it broke through but jumped up right away. Resistance, support. It has not broken that support line. So could be a place to hold there. MTH, it's on the 236. This is probably a pretty decent place to buy MTH. Am I going too fast? You guys getting it? We're basically going through every single chart on Binance. You can't really pay money to see this much. I mean, you can learn so much just from this live stream. Kind of the way that my brain works, but Trig, man, Trig is interesting. It's another one of those coins, just like Wings. Trig and Wings. I mean, their charts are almost identical. You start to see a pattern in a lot of these. I don't like gas. Grosso coin. I mean, we're almost retraced back to square one on this guy. It's broken that. So some of these newer listed coins, like Grosso coin. Hey, what's going on, Gonzalo? How you doing, man? All right, so with Grosso coin, it's been on Bittrex for a long time. So instead of using Binance to chart it, it's better to go back and look at Bittrex so that you can actually get an idea of just kind of historically how these things look. That's not very good. See how that looks. That's pretty good. So you can see these secondary wick. That's pretty historically accurate. Let's try and find a trend line on the bottom here. Nope. So this big run up on Bittrex was because it was listed on Binance. You can see Augur got listed today as well on Binance, and it caused a pretty massive spike. So I'd say if you want to get into Grosso coin to add into your long-term entries. Too much white space. Let me zoom in for you guys. Sorry. All right. So if you want to get in on Grosso coin, I would just wait for this trend line. 9,000 Satoshis. Where are we at? All right. Strat. No good. KNC. Man, I really freaking like this coin too. Let's look at logarithmic. Yeah, no, that's not doing anything. Maybe on the 382, 21,000 Satoshis. We Power. That was one of my buy and sell before the end of April. People kept asking me about it. Sell it before the end of April. I even did a live stream, guys. This bounced off the 5.5, did a 100% retrace. Apparently people did not like their announcement. We exited this trade. We're down 38% from the all-time high that it formed. And this one might consolidate for a little while. I don't like that. Bitcoin Gold. More like shitcoin gold, am I right? We're going to skip that chart. Nothing there. Power did the same thing as We Power. If you look at the charts, did a nice retrace. Bounced off the 236. I don't like it right now. Mana, BCPT. BCPT had a huge run up because people thought that it was Bitcoin private. But it wasn't. Just confusing. But Block Mason Protocol, or Block Credit Protocol, yeah, Block Mason Protocol. It's an okay project. I don't see anything on it right now that's kind of getting me. QLC, we're gonna skip that. GVT, they had a nice little run up, nice little retrace. Nothing on that chart that's got me excited. Cardano, this is one of my favorite long-term holds. I already went over that one on the US dollar chart. RDN, looks like it's consolidating. No, I don't like, well, let me look at the volume. Nice little volume spike there, finding support on the lower end of the Bollinger Band. I don't like it. Link, this is actually a pretty good trade. It's at the 0.5 fib, hasn't really lost much ground. Massive buy volume. There might be a contest on Binance. I'd have to look. I don't remember. Let's look at news. Latest news. Binance lists Augur. Usually they have like a little, I don't know. All right. Then we'll take a look at some KuCoin charts and we'll just see if there's anything on there that we like. Vibe. We tried to buy into this chart. We got stopped out 10%. Looks like it's retracing, finding the lower end of this little support line here. I don't like it right now. I don't like VIA. Nano, very disappointing project. 100% retrace off its early April lows. Only time will tell what this thing does. This thing had a run though. Nice little 200% run. BQX, I really liked this chart. It was listed on BitThumb, got rejected at the 786. It popped up and then it came right back down, and then I was gonna send a signal out right here. Kind of regret I didn't because it had a nice little pop for 60%. Hard to say though because a lot of these supports were breaking down at the time. Encash, lots of people I saw were getting into Encash. I had this triangle, it broke down. I saw no reason to get into it. If found a little support at the 618. It's finding a little bit of support at the 0.5. The 50% fibs are never that good though, so I would not get into this trade yet. I'd wait for another little retrace. Looks like maybe down to the 236. If you're gonna buy, I'd buy it right in through here. Pretty safe, 300 to 322. 0x is a monster. I can't remember our entry on 0x, but we got into this guy pretty early. We made about 70%. I think we bought in like right here, and we got, I'd have to look at my chart. I'm still holding some 0x. I've been talking about 0x for forever. We accumulated back when it was like 4,000 Satoshis. Yeah, like 3,000, 4,000 Satoshis. Portfolio dipped about 50% in December, and then 0x made a massive run. I still think this is one of the most undervalued projects. Yeah, we made about 1,200% on 0x. We rebought back in right here, up about 200% on this trade. 0x is a great project, and they're getting better and better and better. IOST, I'd wait for it to come back down to this trend line. Am I going too quick, guys? You can let me know if I'm going too quick. If I'm going slow enough, hit the like button. We're at 1 hour and 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Still rolling. VeChain looks like they're being added to Bitfinex. Now I'll probably have to wrap this up in about 15 minutes. We'll do 1 hour and 30, and then hopefully you guys like this. Okay, cool. ONT. There's too much risk on this chart. What's our reward? I mean, we might be able to kind of push some of this, 1618, 2618, for 300%. But there's a lot of risk down here. Right here, this is where I would buy it. On ONT is at 236. I'd let it calm down, let it settle. Nice support here. I'd let it, this one's probably going to bleed for a while. Volume dropped off. People stopped caring about it. EDO. Look at this. This volume is out of control. We made a decent little run on EDO. Broke the 236 though, so we'll probably see a double bottom formation here. BRD. Found some nice support. I don't like it yet. XLM. Historically, we'd have to look at Bittrex on this guy. Anything in here, I would say, is probably pretty decent. I mean, look at the support it's got there. Eternity. We made a killing on some Eternity. First Turing complete virtual machines, oracles. Yeah, we made 116% on our Eternity signal. Then I found out some weird stuff about Eternity, so I actually am a little leery on Eternity. I'm not seeing anything on that chart that's got me excited. REQ, this one was getting shilled like crazy. Looks like we might be kind of in for some much further falls. Let's go wick to wick, see what we got. I'd say the 236 is probably where we'd want to re-enter this guy. Nice support. Litecoin, Litecoin, Litecoin. Dang, dude, I love that Cuban coffee, Lewis. Hey, man, I'll probably see you in Consensus. I feel like I see you at every conference. Let's see. Bitcoin Diamond's a weird one. If you want to just buy and set some sell orders for these freaking pumps, man, these pumps are like, you just set a sell order for 20%. All these pumps are like 20%. So you just buy on this accumulation, set a sell order for 20%. Not bad. Not a bad little strategy. KMD broke out of my triangle. Back on that 147. Not a bad accumulation zone historically for the past couple of months. We'll have to see where the market shakes out, but all in all, it's not bad. There's not a lot of risk down here. We could be forming some head and shoulders on a lot of these charts. A lot of these could be the heads, like you can see on almost all these charts. It'll be fun to kind of go back and look at these. You can see like there's a lot of this fuzziness going on. So we'll probably see something like that going on. Time will tell. GXS. This is a good trade. Nice trend line. Probably one of the best trades for holding it up over the long term. Kind of broke down at the 0.5 fib. Was consolidating a little bit on the Bollinger Bands. You can see it kind of moved up pretty hard, so maybe you want to wait till it consolidates before you enter this trade. Volume's been pretty decent, a little weak, but overall not too bad. Throw that on here as one to watch. So far we've got Fun Fuel, TNT, ENJ, ENG, and GXS. Guys, I'm not going to answer fundamental analysis about coins when I'm literally charting every single coin on Binance. OMG. I already covered OMG. POA, I like this. Definitely one of the trades I'm watching. Looking for a little bit more confirmation on it. I'm going to go a little bit quicker. GNT. It's not a good accurate portrayal. I sent this out yesterday as a high risk trade based on this chart. If you look at this one, I don't think we were stopped out of it yet. I think my stop's a little bit lower. Let's see. Yeah. little risky now. Broke down on that trend line. We'll see where the daily closes though. GNT, MTL, covered that. MDA, don't like it. Nope. DNT is pretty decent. It's been holding that 0.5 fib pretty well. Looks like it's forming a little bit of a double bottom, but nothing there that really gets me too excited. No. SNGLS, this one's pretty interesting. Had a nice little retrace. It looks like it's holding this support pretty well. I'd probably get into some SNGLS as a midterm hold. It's a pretty cool project. Let me see. TRX. I had this trend line. I said if I was going to get in TRX before their mainnet launch, I basically had a zone 700 to about 740. I've got a buy order for TRX, even though, you know, whatever. It's TRX. But yeah, I'd say it's going to hold this trend line. Mainnet launch is probably going to be pretty massive news for TRX. Had a great run up though. I mean, I think it 300%ed. Whoops. Yeah, 245%. That's pretty damn good. In Bitcoin value, US value, I think it 3x'd. NAV, don't even want to look at NAV. Zcash, same thing as Monero. ELF, this is a interesting one. Let's look at it on the linear scale. Linear scale is a little bit more, makes a little bit more sense. We can draw some fibs in a second. Yeah, so there was a lot of overthrow on a lot of these charts. This is called overthrow on like these trend lines. Let's see where it retraced to. Yeah, I mean, it retraced to the 618. Alpha is a pretty decent trade. BitShares, don't like it. Lisk, it's one of those legacy coins, like I was saying earlier. Lisk and Komodo, KMD, they just, even though they're like amazing projects, they're just not doing much. Then this is one of my largest long-term holdings. They were listed to Bitfinex, so kind of moving up. This could be a bear flag though, so I'd be cautious. It might want to dump with the rest of the market. A lot of risk down here that, you know, could come back down and touch that, but form this big head and the inverse head and shoulders, and it looks like it could be forming a little mini head and shoulders if we look at it on the 4 hour. No, not too bad. I like Venn. Venn's a good hold long term. I've got a couple one of those nodes. Get on the log scale. Digix DAO, don't like it. I found this little fractal on BNB. See if it holds true. But basically we saw this kind of 1 up to 2, this kind of little loop-de-loop here. And then 3 kind of up, kind of overthrows it a little bit. So 2, and then the 3 kind of like loop curve. And then BNB looks like it'll kind of come back down, find this line here, and then consolidate a little bit more. So we'll see if it does this little 4 move on the fractal. But zooming out a little bit, I've been tracking BNB for a while. We bought at $1 and just kind of been holding. Saves on a lot of fees. ARC, I wouldn't touch it. WanChain, I sent out a signal a couple days ago because I thought it was going to hold this trend line because it was at the 618, had this nice uptrend support, so I thought it was a good entry into WanChain. It looks like we've got a pretty massive head there, or shoulder there, head there. So we'll see where it bounces, but this thing could be heading down to the 236. Give us a little entry on that. XZC, man, this is another trade that disappointed me. had this nice little pennant formation, but with Bitcoin's uncertainty, it dropped back down to the 236. I really like this trade. A lot of positive sentiment on social media, according to my sentiment bot. So anything in this zone I would accumulate. XMR bounced off that line. We'll see if that holds. Waves. Nice little uptrend. I like Waves. Waves is a cool project. All right, let's take a look at Litecoin. Litecoin is one of the most interesting charts. Super choppy. This is all on Binance, by the way. So, you know, there's a lot more historical price action on like Bitfinex and stuff. Looks like it's breaking down from this here. Yeah, Litecoin, we might have a bit of a hiccup here. We might be seeing some much further lows. This didn't really fill out the triangle very well. 1, 2, yeah. I mean, if it breaks and kind of moves down, the Bollinger Bands are consolidating pretty tight, so we might see a tight squeeze. So we might see some pretty big price action either way. Aeon, one of my favorite projects, held its trend line right here. We entered here. I thought there was going to be some nice support there. I'm not going to get out of that trade anytime soon. ETH is holding this trend line. If it breaks lower, I would get out of it. We're almost done with these charts. PPT. There was like some news that it was like a scam or something, but they're back down to accumulation zone as well. This is what's known as accumulation zone. You buy in the accumulation and then you sit and you wait. Drops 10, 15% lower. That's okay. You know, be patient. Wait a couple months. Pivx, SNM, and ICX. We got through them all. Okay, and then I think the only chart I didn't have on here was ZIL, and I'm not sure why it wasn't on there. Zilliqa, we made a pretty penny on. Where'd the? All right. I already covered Bitcoin. What in the world? All right. Okay, so we bought ZIL around 4 cents, 5 cents. Had a nice little price increase of about 300%. I think we bought it right there. Yeah, I encouraged people to sell around 1800 to 1900 for about right around 1900 for 300%. It kind of FOMO'd off the top because it got listed on BitThumb, so about 400%. Popped to 2400. If we draw a little fib chart here, my guess is that it'll probably come back down to 1600 or 1400. 1400 is the most likely place for it to come to. All right, so I'll do a little bit of Q&A, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's look up some news. See if anybody's got some news on Upbit. Bitcoin drops the 3-week low. CNBC. FUD. See if Upbit they did not announce anything there. We can go to Upbit, see if they put out a statement. I do base my return on, yeah, all signals and not optimal targets because we sell at specific times. It's all calculated based on like when we sell. Let's see. Usually Google offers like some translation or something. I agree, man. I agree. What do I do here? Looks like it's found some nice support here. ZIL is down the most. Block ticks. EMC squared. So pretty much any cryptocurrency that was on Upbit is most likely affected in the U.S. markets because they're most likely dumping. Wow, look at that, man. Look at that retrace. Woo! Look at that. That hit some crazy. In the Korean won, that's massive. I mean, it went from 45 to 1. I mean, that was a 3x. That was a 3-banger right there. 300% gain. ICX. Wish I could trade on the Korean markets. They just go like FOMO at the mouth. All right. Bro, are you gonna look at the live chat? Well, let's see. Let's look at some questions. You guys aren't asking questions. You're just posting coins. Ask a question. What do you think of Ethos? It's a cool wallet. They got listed on BitThumb. I was calling Bitcoin low for a while, but we just made so much money in April. Do you speak Korean? I don't know your name, but what they said was their exchange is running, so chill down. Yeah, I mean that's what I saw. I mean, they were investigated. Some people took their papers. Some people took some trading documents, but they weren't charged with anything. If I was gonna switch to anything, Jake, I'd probably switch to Steemit's DTube. Bitcoin prediction for next couple of weeks. I am bullish on it. Consensus is usually pretty massive run up. VeChain chart, please. We looked at VeChain, I thought. Oh, what exchanges? It's really hard to catch all the chat, Enigma. What exchanges do people be on? Most of my signals are for Bittrex and Binance. No, the Consensus Summit did not. And who knows, man? Maybe some investigators were paid off by BitThumb, you know, to throw some shade at Upbit. You never know, man. This is a dirty game. This is a highly volatile asset class. Billions are at stake. I mean, if we look at like revenue and volume, Upbit did $2 billion in volume in the last 24 hours. That's a lot of fees, guys. So, you know, you can't really trust a lot of this stuff. VeChain looks good, holding its trend line. There's a little bit of a risk, as I said below. Bounced off the 618. 618's been a nice little springboard. So I imagine it'll probably stay range bound on its way up, but who knows? They were listed on Bitfinex, so that they're on a nice little run. Is QTUM still good long term or not so much? I think it's one of the best platforms. Pundi X to the moon. Yeah, Pundi X is a good project. There's lots of good projects. I'm planning on a lot of meetups in NYC for Consensus. I'll be staying at the hotel. We got a ton of interviews planned. I'm actually bringing a film crew, so we'll get some really good film stuff. How do you know some coins will bounce back to 2.36 fib and others, for example, 618? That's more of a question of experience. I've been trading for so long, you just kind of get a feel for what charts are going to do, but it really depends on the project. It really depends on liquidity. Chris Parada, thanks for the donation, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you following me on Twitter, liking all my tweets and everything. Thoughts on ClickBank owning Toshi, how they can use dApps. Man, Coinbase is in it for the long haul. They're working on their broker-dealer license. They've got Toshi. I think it's really bullish for Coinbase. They've got some competition. Circle's coming in. Goldman Sachs. A lot of people are putting in a lot of money on that stuff. So, yeah, Toshi's massive. I mean, they're acquiring a lot of companies, and that's what it's going to take. Is you got to acquire, just like Google did, just like Facebook did. I mean, Facebook bought Oculus, they bought WhatsApp. If you want to stay ahead in the game, you got to buy and acquire as many companies as you can. Appreciate the donation. Think we'll be back to 450 billion by mid next week. Usually historically, it's not the consensus conference that makes it bullish. It's the month or two after the consensus conference, as the news of all the announcements of everything kind of trickles out into mainstream. Yeah, I think that was probably the worst of the mainstream. I'm gonna start buying back into some of my positions. I think we'll see it come out, just like with the SEC stuff. I think we'll see it come out that it was all kind of just, whatever. I don't think it'll be that big of a news. Do you know the World Book project from Key Coin with Cash as the fuel for it? I haven't seen that. Cash is a pretty cool underrated project. Can you look at Nas Nebulas / Theta? Down 13%, hit $11, down to $8. Guy hit a little bit, 371 million. Yeah, I mean this is a long-term hold, guys. Nebulas is like a 5-10 year hold. Think about how long it took Google to get to where they are. Nebulas is positioning themselves as the search engine for the blockchain. As more and more things get added to the blockchain, it's going to be very important. So Fun, Fuel, TNT, ENJ, Lend, ENG, GXS, POA, SNGLS, ELF, and XCC. These are my top ones to buy back into, besides like the long terms. ZRX, which may retrace. It's at an all-time high. Ven, OMG, ADA, XLM, all these are pretty good. Can you please quickly review Elastos token economics? I'm not going to do that on this live stream, sorry. So what are your top 5 coins for the next 3 months? I just did a video on the top 18 coins to buy. Ooh, coffee and a cookie. I don't normally eat cookies, but my wife got me this organic cookie, so thanks to her. Do we need a search engine for the blockchain? Yeah, of course we do. There's gonna be so many. It's gonna be, the cool thing with Nebulas is it's gonna be blockchain agnostic. So imagine all the different blockchains, and imagine all the different dApps on the different blockchains. You got Neo, Qtum, EOS, ADA, Ethereum, Neo. I don't know if I said that, but so you're going to have all these different applications on these different blockchains. So Nebulas is going to essentially, they're going to try and create a search algorithm and search engine that's going to search all those different blockchains for, let's say, music, art, video files, etc., etc., etc. So it's going to act like the same way. So yeah, we definitely need it, but it's a big long-term hold. Yeah, the Nebulous founder was Hitters Zhu, the founder of Neo. They got a real strong team. Long-term hold. Can't Google handle that? No. Totally different, Paul. Think about Substratum. It's a web server built on a decentralized storage units. So Substratum, it has basically like a browser that runs the internet and will display HTTP, but they're decentralized websites. Do you think Encash have big potential this year? Encash already had a great run, but yeah, their partnerships are still coming out. It's pretty interesting tech. They just need more usage. All right, guys. Appreciate you hanging out. I think we had up to about 400 or 500 people of you. If you don't mind, hit like. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this on social media. I love people getting good content. There's a lot of good content on this one. We will be at Consensus. We're going to be doing lots of interviews. We're going to have a film crew, an editor, lots of cool stuff. We're going to go to as many events. I'm going to interview as many ICOs as I can. There's a Crypto Influence Awards on May 17th. I think I'm going to be winning Best Live Stream. So there will be a lot of cool projects there. I'm going to the Coin Gala, and I'll be sitting next to the COO of Bitcoin.com. So we'll be having some really interesting conversations about Bitcoin Cash. I don't know if I'll have a film crew there, but all in all, we'll try and get as much as we can. I'll live stream as much of it as possible. Thanks for hanging out. And let me check here. Yeah, everything's still good. And we'll catch you on the next live stream. Make sure you guys share, like, subscribe. Appreciate it.